a Pokemon Red Nuzlocke, but all the types are swapped around. Not randomized, just rearranged. So what does that mean? All of the Pokemon types in the game have been swapped to a different type. So for example, normal types like Rattata and Chansey have all become poison types. And dual normal flying types like Pidgey and Doduo have become dual poison electric types. And when I was swapping the types around, I did it several times in different orders, so I'm going in almost completely blind as to what the Pokemon types have become, with the exception of normal and flying types because I needed to make sure it worked and checked off of Pidgey's stats. Now you may be asking, what makes this any different than a randomized typing run? Did I just put more effort into changing up this run to get the same results as if I had simply randomized it? And I'd have to say no to that for one primary reason: strategy. Instead of all Pokemon types being random, I wanted all Pokemon of the same type to still be of the same type. That allows me to know what a gym leader or rivals team will consist of and plan accordingly. So doesn't that make this run easier? Well, kind of. In a way it does because I can plan 4 type matchups, but every Pokemon now essentially has a defensive type and an offensive type. Remember, in Generation 1, Pokemon typically only learn moves that are either normal type or their same type. But since I didn't change the typing of moves, those now differ. So for example, Rattata is a poison type defensively, but a normal type offensively, meaning psychic type moves hit for super effective damage. Now, keeping that in mind, what if psychic types like Drowsy become ghost types? Now Rattata, along with all other normal type Pokemon, are completely walled by Drowsy and all other psychic types. Not only is Drowsy doing super effective damage against the now poison type Rattata, but that Rattata can't even hit the Drowsy because it's now ghost type. Of course, you can teach TMs and HMs, and the move typings aren't an end-all be-all thing, speaking very generically, but hopefully I'm getting across just how complex this run can get. As far as the Nuzlocke goes, I played using the normal Nuzlocke rules. I can only catch the first Pokemon I encounter in any given area or route, I have to give nicknames, and if a Pokemon faints, it dies. So with all of that out of the way, thank you as always for watching, and let's get into the run. I started this Nuzlocke off grabbing Bulbasaur and naming it Tater Tot, and I really only chose Bulbasaur so that I could get the most typing information possible. And what typing is Bulbasaur? Dragon Ground, which I gotta say is kinda weird to see. My first encounter in Viridian Forest ends up being Weedle, which we catch and name Margaret. Unfortunately, bug types are still bug types due to the way I swapped around the typings, so the Weedle line are dual bug ground types. Not really that great. I come back down to Viridian and head to the west where we encounter a Nidoran male, and I catch it, naming it as close to French Toast as I could get. With 3 ground types on our team and only having 2 more encounters available to me right now, I decided to start training my team a bit and head into Viridian Forest. I encounter a Pikachu and it resists tackle, so now we know electric types are rock types. After training a bit, I face off against the optional rival to the west of Viridian to see if I can figure out what typing Charmander is. French Toast takes out his Pidgey easily enough, and I swap in Tater Tot against his Charmander because it actually resists Ember. We know Charmander isn't grass type because Leech Seed hits it, but other than that we get no more clues, so we still don't know what fire types are. I make it out of Viridian Forest, take 1 step into the grass, and get our encounter for this route. I catch the Poison Electric Pidgey and appropriately name it Toxel. Not knowing what ground or rock types are, I decided to go ahead and fight the junior trainer in Brock's gym for the experience. Luckily, Leech Seed hits, so we know ground types are not grass types. But both of my main Pokemon take some damage, so I swap into Margaret to heal French Toast and sacrifice Margaret. F's in the chat for Margaret, she was a real one. We get through the junior trainer fight, and my 2 mains are level 11 now, but with how poorly that fight went, I decided to train up a little bit more. At this point too, I only have normal type moves, so if rock types end up being ghost types, I have nothing to hit them with. I train Tater Tot and French Toast until they're level 13, and Tater Tot learns Vine Whip, and then I decide to face off against Brock. I lead off with Tater Tot and go for Leech Seed, but Geodude evades it. And then it evades it a second time, and I'm fairly sure now that rock types are grass types. So without my Leech Seed to whittle the leader's Pokemon down, I have to resort to brute force against Brock, and thankfully, get the win with no losses to the team. I make my way through the trainers to the east of Pewter and pick up the Magikarp from the Shady Dude, naming it Larry, and find out water types are ghost types, which means Misty is going to be interesting to deal with. Walking into Mount Moon, I catch a ground electric Zubat, name it Short, and then immediately lose it to this Geodude. I guess you could say Short was short-lived? Huh? I make my way through and out of Mount Moon without losing anything else, and catch a Spearow to the west of Cerulean, naming it Toxel 2. Tater Tot at this point is level 19, and French Toast is level 17, so I decide to train up a little bit more. Right now, the only moves I have that hit for neutral against Misty's Pokemon, which remember are Ghost type, are Vine Whip on Ivysaur and Water Gun on Nidorino, so not exactly the best coverage. Plus, Nidorino is weak to Staryu and Starmie's water type attacks. With my two mains now at level 20, I decide to go ahead and face off against my rival. Pidgeotto and Rattata go down easy enough, and rival sends out Abra. I decide to hit Abra with a few different moves to try and figure out what psychic types are, but after hitting Poison, Water, Grass, and Normal type moves all for neutral, I'm not really that much closer to figuring it out. I then hit Charmander for super effective damage with Vine Whip, which means it should be Water type, but to confirm, I swap into Nidorino, use Water Gun, which Charmander resists, confirming that fire types are indeed water types. And with that, we defeat the Cerulean rival. We then face off against this Mankey up in Nugget Bridge and discover fighting types are fire types, and then we catch an Oddish and name it Hash Brown. After getting the bills and helping him with his problems as we do, and getting the SSN ticket from him, I come back and take on Misty with a level 23 Nidorino and level 22 Ivysaur. Water Gun 3 shots the Ghost type Staryu, not a good sign, and I swap into Little Toxel for some reason. And looking back, I'm not sure why I did that other than it being either a misclick or a sacrifice. Either way, it died. I swap back into Ivysaur and get a Leech Seed on the Starmine, which absolutely mattered because we survived with only 6 health left on Ivysaur. And we defeat the Ghost type leader Misty. I completely forget about releasing Toxel. I forgot it had even died until I started writing the script actually. And it becomes my fly user later on, but for what it's worth, it never actually sees any more battles. Traveling down to Vermilion, I go into Diglett's cave, catch a Diglett we name Monty Mole, and find out that ground types are psychic types. After fighting a lot of trainers on the SSN and trying to get Magikarp raised up, I decided to just put Larry in the daycare to get to level 19 because ain't nobody got time or the nerve to switch train in a Nuzlocke where all the types are completely out of whack. Anyways, I use a rare candy and now I have Larry, the Ghost Electric Gyarados. I come back now to SSN with Larry and face off against SSN rival who goes down really easy. We grab Cut and head out to face Lieutenant Surge. Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon are all rock types and their electric moves are absolutely useless against Nidorino and Ivysaur, who take down his Pokemon with ease, earning us this victory. We get to Rock Tunnel and I catch another Zubat that I clicked too fast through and forgot to name, oh well. Fortunately for us, Larry is part Ghost type, so the hiker that has the 3 self-destructing Mons can't really do much against him. Making it out of Rock Tunnel, I head west of Lavender Town and encounter and catch an Ekans I name Sneck. Then I keep going to Celadon where I pick up a Pokédoll and debate which evolution I should get. I ended up settling for a Water Stone for a Ghost-type Vaporeon in case Larry faints and we end up needing it later on, but surely that won't happen. I come back to Lavender Town after grabbing that Pokédoll and a drink for the guards and take on the Lavender rival. Pidgeotto goes down in 2 hits after landing a sand attack, and then rival sends out Execute. I still don't know what Psychic is, so I try to start narrowing it down and determine it can only be either Flying, Normal, Ice, or Fighting. I don't have much to help narrow it down anymore though, so we just make it faint. Larry wins against his double, the Mystery type Kadabra and the Water type Charmeleon, securing us the win against the Lavender rival. I then make it up the rest of Pokemon Tower. I didn't get the Self Scope, so I couldn't catch a Ghastly, and unfortunately we didn't learn enough to tell us what Ghost types are. But it doesn't really matter, we're not going to see any more until Agatha anyways. I make it to the top of Pokemon Tower and face off against the first Rocket, who sends out a couple of ground electric Zubat, which both go down easily enough. Then he sends out a Golbat that hits a Supersonic and confuses Tater Tot into hitting itself and getting hit until it's down to very low health. I swap in French Toast to attempt to save it and get confused immediately on Switch. French Toast then hits itself 2 turns in a row while getting damaged by Bite, gets the Golbat down to 1 HP, but I don't even think about how low French Toast HP is, and he goes down dealing a massive blow to the run. Rest in peace, French Toast. 07. We finish off the rest of the rockets in the tower, get the Poke Flute, release French Toast, and grab our ground type Snick solely for Stab Dig. I go to the west of Celadon, catching the Snorlax and naming him Sleepy Boy, grab Fly to teach Toxel, and then head south towards Fuchsia where I pick up some items from the Mart and the Good Rod. But I was actually wanting the Super Rod for either a Slowpoke or a Staryu, and I always get those rod locations mixed up. So I have to backtrack a little bit, head south from Lavender, knock out this Snorlax, and grab the Super Rod. I can catch a Slowpoke before I can catch a Staryu, so I try for it in Celadon and get the encounter. I'm looking for a Slowpoke for the chance that Psychic types are Ice types and will get stabbed from Ice Beam. I throw a Great Ball, catch it, and name it Dopey, and Slowpoke is in fact dual Ghost Ice type. I put Dopey and Snick into the daycare for a few fast levels, and while Snick's in the daycare, I take Dopey to the Celadon gym, which produces this incredible interaction. Dopey gets paralyzed, but I don't think it really mattered too much since it's so slow anyways, and Bellsprout gets into a wrap loop. But Dopey is part Ghost type, so it's just a huge battle of stalling. I leave after that fight, heal up, and decide to go check on Snick and teach Ice Beam to Dopey. With Dopey learning Ice Beam, I head back to the Celadon gym to take on the rest of the trainers. Pretty much everything in this gym is ground dragon typing, allowing Ice Beam to get a whole lot of one-shots as long as the opposition doesn't use Wrap. Feeling pretty confident, I take on Erica, and her Victory Bell does some pretty decent damage to Dopey. I didn't like the idea of losing Dopey to Victory Bell so early, so I swapped into Larry, and Erica used a Super Potion and then put Larry to sleep. I healed up, and Larry finished up the Victory Bell. Tangela can't do anything to Larry anyways, and Vileplume goes for a Sleep Powder, wasting one of my terms, but Petal Dance doesn't do much damage to Larry, and we're able to finish off the Vileplume with a few Dragon Rages and a Bite. So I didn't use Dopey as much as I had wanted to, but I feel like it can still be a pretty good part of the team. I just need to raise it up a bit. So I do a little bit of grinding, deciding to deposit Snick and head up to Sylph to pick up Earthquake, as well as doing a little more grinding. And then I pull a blunder. My first blunder of the run. An absolute blunder, if you will. In my haste to grind and speed everything up, I prevent Tater Tot from learning its best move, Razor Leaf. After looking up its moveset and having a crisis and finding out that Venusaur can't learn Earthquake, I honestly had no clue. I thought it could. I decided to just bench Tater Tot and pick up Sleepy Boy before heading back to Sylph to keep grinding away. And as I'm grinding away, I decide to look at the rivals team. With Alakazam being Ice type, fighting types, which are now fire types, might actually be the play against it. So I decide to go pick up Hitmonlee from the fighting dojo, naming it Hamburger, and the power of Hamburger is made evident in this fight against a Hypno, knocking it out with just a few double kicks. Hamburger could end up being a vital part of the team, learning fighting type moves and having access to increased attack with Meditate. Well, never mind. I was speeding up while playing, so it's hard to see, but Cubone knocked Hamburger out with two super effective Clone Bubs. I'm leaving that in. Bone Clubs. That loss hurt since I was just mindlessly grinding and was completely avoidable, but such is Nuzlocke. I do play things a little safer for now, putting Sleepy Boy in the daycare for a few levels where it learns Body Slam, and then go challenge Koga's gym. I set up 3 Amnesia before starting Sleepy Boy's attack, and wouldn't you know it, Sleepy Boy levels up after the first coughing, losing the attack and defense badge boost, and by the time he makes it to Weezing, he was hit by 3 smoke screen, but I think we got this. I think we got this. Weezing actually does end up being faster though, and goes for self-destruct right off the bat, but Sleepy Boy survives with 6 health, and we win the Soul Badge. I decide to go into the Safari Zone next to pick up the Gold Teeth and Surf, and the very first encounter is a Chansey, which runs away, and then the very next encounter is what I was hoping to see, a Nidoran male. The way I'm doing Safari Zone from the Nuzlocke is each area counts as a new catch, so the Chansey was the first encounter in the first area, so I can't catch that Nidoran, but there's still hope for later. Like right now, but this one runs away, as does this Nidorino. I teach Surf to Larry and have one more chance to find something, but this Venomoth runs away too. As is the luck with my Nuzlocke. I then head into the middle area because I wasn't sure if it was connected to the beginning, which it is, and I found that out, and go to leave when another Chansey pops up. I'm just like, okay, whatever, catch it, who cares? And it stays in the Pokeball first try. So I name it Toxic because that perfectly describes everything about that whole Safari Zone experience. Having defeated Koga pretty easily, I decided I could probably take on the Sylph rival now, so I head back there. Of course, he leads off with his Poison Electric Pidgeot that sand attacks Larry a few times, so I swap in Sleepy Boy just to get rid of that accuracy drop. I stay in with Sleepy Boy and set up with Amnesia, and since the rival has good AI, his Execute just spams his Psychic setup moves, allowing me to take it out. He then sends out his Ghost Electric Gyarados, and I forgot it's part Ghost type until Sleepy Boy couldn't hit it with anything. I swap back into Larry because that's the best option I have and start using Dragon Rage. He gets Larry down to 1 HP, and I commit the now biggest blunder of the run. I still think about this when I'm trying to go to sleep at night. It was just awful. I, for some unknown reason, decided to stop using Dragon Rage to finish off the rival Gyarados, and instead used Bite, which doesn't affect the Ghost type Gyarados. I didn't even know what had happened when I was recording. I thought I had gotten a Gen 1 miss. It wasn't until after I went back and watched the recording that I realized what I had done. And so, after that terrible goof, Larry goes down to a Dragon Rage. Let's get some subs for Larry. 1 sub equals 1 prayer. In a moment of defeat, I also lose Dopey. Rip in peace, Dopey. But I get my head back in the game and finish off his Alakazam and Charizard with Sleepy Boy. One redeeming moment is getting Lapras here, which is a pretty decent replacement for Dopey. And I named Lapras exactly how I was feeling at that time. Please help. And we get some more info after getting Lapras. Learning ice types have become fighting types, which isn't great since that adds another member to our team that's weak to psychic, but at least it's part ghost. I then take a guess and say ghost types are normal types and dragon types are flying, so our type chart is completely filled out. In hindsight, my logic behind it was completely flawed. For some reason I thought Thunderbolt did neutral damage against Ghastly, but Ghastly's part ground type, so that never could have happened. But I had a 50-50 shot at any rate, so maybe it'll work out in the end. With a type chart filled out and 2 team members gone, I pick up Monty Mole out of the PC and head to the daycare for some major leveling. After getting enough levels, we now have a Dodrio, and I start grinding against the bird keepers to the east of Fuchsia, since Monty Mole's dig is 4 times effective against them, which is definitely not something I thought I would ever say. With my team doing a lot better on levels, I go back to Sylph to take on Giovanni, which Please Help handles with incredible grace and ease, defeating Team Rocket and earning us a Master Ball that we use to catch Zapdos in the power plant that we name Yoshi. Shout out to my little puppy. We come back to Saffron and take on Sabrina's gym, which is Ice type with Psychic type moves. I want to primarily use Monimole since she resists the hard-hitting Psychic moves, while Please Help and Sleepy Boy are both weak to them. So I send out Monimole, which takes out Kadabra and Mr. Mime with 3 total slashes. I then swap in Please Help to take out Venomoth, and swap back into Monty Mole to take out the recovering Alakazam with absolute ease, earning us the Marsh Badge. Riding on that victory in Saffron, I surf down to Cinebarre and challenge Blaine's gym, sweeping through the trainers with Yoshi that's using super effective stab Thundershock on all of the water-type Pokemon. And we beat Blaine as he was an absolute pushover. Quickly moving on to Giovanni's gym, I beat every trainer in the gym with Please Help for the experience because nothing could really even touch her. Giovanni goes down as quickly as Blaine did. Please Help easily sweeps, taking no damage from any of his Psychic team. I decide to go back to Cinebarre and head to the east to level up Monty Mole a little bit, but really, this was an awful place to level up since everything is Ghost type, and Monty Mole only has 1 damaging move. So I come back to Cinebarre and go to the mansion. I hadn't caught anything in here yet, so when I run into a muck, I decided to try my luck at it. But it had other plans, and it knocked Monty Mole out. I was speeding this up while playing, so I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm assuming it got a critical hit sludge. Anyways, I run because I don't really want to lose anything else, and I don't think that muck is actually even worth it. I'm also thankful I hadn't taught Monty Mole Earthquake yet. 07 for Monty Mole. Looking for a suitable replacement for Monty Mole, I learned that Sneck could actually learn Earthquake, giving it stab to an incredibly powerful move, so we're obviously gonna grab Snek. I go level up a bunch. Please help, the Lapras is level 44, Snek the Arbok is level 49 and knows Earthquake now, Yoshi the Zapdos is still level 52, and Sleepy Boy the Snorlax is level 49. And we decide to take on Viridian Rival. Snek one-shots a Pidgeot. Please help one-shots the Rhyhorn, but gets hit by Leech Seed, so I swap into Sleepy Boy, making the same mistake I made at Sylph since Sleepy Boy can't even hit Gyarados. So I have to swap back into something else. I send Please Help back out, get 2 lucky crits on the Gyarados, and it goes down without taking anything out of my team. Alakazam goes down to 2 Drill Picks from Yoshi, doing very little damage with its now non-stab Psychic, and then Yoshi gets a critical Thunder against Charizard, knocking it out in 1 hit. Overall a pretty good fight, but Gyarados is still really scary, but we still have a little bit of gameplay before we need to worry about it again. I leveled up everything even more before going into the Elite Four. Sleepy Boy is level 56 and I taught it Psychic just for some more coverage. Snek is level 59, Please Help is level 53, and Yoshi is level 56. First up in the Elite Four is Lorelei with her Fighting type team. I send out Sleepy Boy to set up Amnesia since Dewgong can only use Rest. Sleepy Boy then one-shots her first 2 Pokemon, 2 shots to Slowbro, takes a little damage from Jinx but then knocks it and her Lapras out in 1 hit. So far so good. Next up is Bruno with his Grass Psychic and Fire types. Please Help is perfect for this fight because only Onix and Hitmonchan can even touch her. Please Help one-shots the Onix, Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and second Onix. Machamp lives a Surf but goes for Focus Energy, not that it could do anything anyways, and goes down to a second Surf. Bruno was easy as always, thankfully. Third is Agatha, who has ground types, and I'm still not 100% sure if Ghost is normal or if it's flying, but I'm letting Please Help take charge since she has super effective damage against ground type Pokemon. Agatha's first Gengar confuses on the first turn, but Please Help hits through it twice to knock it out. She then hits through a third time to crit the Golbat for a one-shot. Haunter goes down to 2 Surfs after doing a little damage with Nightshade, and Please Help knocks her Arbok out in one shot. Her second Gengar confuses Please Help, but misses everything else, and Please Help knocks it out. Agatha, normally a fairly scary Elite Four member, wasn't too bad, and we're moving on. Fourth is Lance, who starts with a Ghost Electric Gyarados. I decide to send Snek out first, hoping for him to outspeed Lance's Gyarados, or if he doesn't, maybe survive a Hydro Pump. And Snek outspeeds, and gets the one shot on Gyarados. Sleepy Boy gets to see some more action now since his maybe flying type Dragonair can only use agility against him because of good AI. I set up against his second Dragonair, then take it out, and Aerodactyl, the grass electric type, and finally the Dragonite, which can only use Barrier. It's cheesy, but it works. And finally, the champion, typings. I send out Snek first. Pidgeot does absolutely nothing with its now non-stab wing attack, and Snek knocks it out with 1 stab Earthquake. Alakazam is next, so I send out Yoshi, which knocks out the Alakazam after a few hits and a scary critical hit Psychic. Luckily it's non-stab. Rhydon gets sent out, so I send out Please Help since it can't even touch her, and I heal up Yoshi for later. Please Help takes out the Rhydon, and then Executor also can't touch Please Help except for putting her to sleep, so I take my time and knock it out safely. Rival then sends out Gyarados, the scariest Pokemon in this run. So I send out Snek for maybe a one-shot with Earthquake, but it leaves just a little sliver. And Gyarados hits with a critical Hydro Pump. Let's get some Fs in the comment section for Snek, the underdog and completely unexpected core member of my late game team. Please Help comes in to finish off the Gyarados, and Rival has 1 Pokemon left, his Water Electric ace, Charizard. I send Yoshi out in this final showdown. Yoshi misses his first Thunder, takes a little damage from the critical hit Slash, but hits his second Thunder for significant damage. He then misses another Thunder and gets burned from Fire Blast. I only need to hit 1 more Thunder to win the match. But Yoshi misses again and takes some more damage from Fire Blast, but then the 4th Thunder finally hits and Charizard goes down. And we did it. We bested typings. This was a wild game. I did not expect the typings of Pokemon to make so much of a difference in the gameplay when moves all stayed the same. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, you the real one. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm always working on some weird challenge in my favorite video games. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, and I confirmed Dragon type is Flying type. Okay, bye.